And they lifted a floorboard and found a leather pouch containing 10 gold coins worth $20,000. All right? Bet they didn't see that one coming, huh? But how do we explain that? How do we explain that? See, they stepped into their desire to renovate their home, and the universe supported them. The universe met them right where they were and said, I support you in this. His wife was planning her new granite countertops when she found that $20,000. I support you in this. See, this is principle. Once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Take the first step. Don't look back, and the universe will conspire to help you. I found a really nice piece by Goethe this week. And it said, until one is committed, there is always hesitancy. The chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help that would never have otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, racing to one's favor. All manner of unforeseen accidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamed would come his way. Wow. Sounds like he heard about that story with the man and the gold coins, huh? Yeah. Okay, so what does this tell us? Could it happen? Yeah. Could it happen to me? Yeah. Could it happen to you? Yes, but only if we believe. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. Now this next one I'm going to share with you. This is a great story. It's one of my favorites. I tried to cut some of these stories, but I love them all. There was this wonderful story on the internet about a 99-year-old Oregon woman, Virginia Campbell, who just purchased her very first computer, an iPad. Okay? Now, Virginia received her bachelor's degree in English literature in the early 1930s and has always been an avid reader. But now she suffers from glaucoma, which makes it difficult for her to read anything. So she heard about the iPad and how you could use this to magnify the print to whatever size you want, and she got really, really excited over this. Now, as I mentioned, there's nothing amazing about these stories. But how many 100-year-olds do you know who would send somebody out to buy them their very first computer? And how many children of a centurion would go stand in line to purchase it? So they did this interview of her online, which was really good. And the interesting thing about the interview is throughout the whole interview, she never looked up from that iPad one time. They were teaching her how to use it, and then she was teaching herself how to use it. I loved it. Now in our conditioning, we might expect to hear someone who's almost 100 years old saying, I am way too old to start learning anything. We might expect them to say, well, I guess reading and writing poetry are things I'll probably never, ever do again in my life. But see, there had to be something in Virginia that believed it was possible. Had to be. okay? And she said that it has opened up a whole new world for her. She's already read 2 books, and she's writing her poetry again. I wanted to share with you this little limerick she wrote. To this technology ninny, it's clear, in my compromised 100th year, that to read and to write are again within sight of this Apple iPad pioneer. Isn't that great? So we want to remember, what's the principle? We are never done growing. Never. Ernest Holmes said that life cannot grow old. When we recognize that there is but one mind and that no thought can flow through it of depression, fear, or decay, no suggestion of imperfection. When our consciousness is that we are each birthless, deathless, ageless spirit, we will no longer grow old. Scientists have proven now that no part of the physical body is more than a few months old. That was in his time. We know now that no part of the physical body is even more than a second old. See, something in Virginia didn't stop believing. The universe doesn't know anything about time. Story number 5. This is a good story. This is a story about Charles the cat. Okay? Charles the cat disappeared from his home in New Mexico. And he disappeared while his owner was out of town. And a friend was caring for him. And Charles managed to wander 1,300 miles from New Mexico. And he wound up in a shelter in Chicago where he was found 8 months later. Now he's in the shelter, and they're about to put Charles down because nobody's claimed him. When all of a sudden, someone was able to find this identity chip underneath his skin. And they called the owner to tell the owner to come and pick him up. Well, and they gave her a certain amount of time to get there because they couldn't keep him. And the owner was very upset over the fact that she could not afford the round-trip airfare from New Mexico to Chicago to pick up her cat. So, Charles's fate appeared to be sealed again. Poor Charles. But then, here's what happened. Another Albuquerque resident who was planning a trip to Chicago for a wedding came to the rescue, agreed to go to the shelter and pick up Charles. And then what happened? A private company donated a cat carrier for Charles. And then what happened? American Airlines waived the fee for Charles to fly home. Wow. So do you know what I loved about this story? The universe took care of the details.